Good afternoon, dear children. So let us start with the new chapter, that is Ashoka, the messenger of peace. So now here, as you must have read in history, that Ashoka is the name of a king who had gone into war, and then when he saw the bloodshed, and then he quit, and he said that no, I won't be doing any war, as there is lot of killing of living beings which he did not like. So let us see how he turned into the messenger of peace. So Ashoka is a rare example of a king who turned away from war after a great military victory to advocate peace. So he had won in that war, but when he saw that there was lot of bloodshed, then he said he realized that I would quit war and non-violence and violence, and then turn into a peace messenger. So here let us start with the chapter. Until the last century, Ashoka was just one more name among a list of Mauryan kings mentioned in the Puranas. Yes, so Ashoka was the kingdom of the Mauryan kings. Then in the year 1837, James Prinsep deciphered the inscriptions carved on rocks. Deciphered means he had read those inscriptions. Inscriptions means which are inscribed in a wooden or a clay tablet. So those he read, and then he interpreted or understood and made the people understand. So that is deciphered. The inscriptions carved on rocks. So where were the inscriptions? They were carved on rocks. In one of the earliest known Indian scripts, that is the Brahmin Script. So that was the earliest scripts which was found, that is known as the Brahmin Script. Script means here the language in which it is written. And suddenly, like a curtain being raised, a magnificent king named Ashoka Vardhan Piyadasi Devanam Piya, beloved of the gods, revealed himself to the world. So here in those Indian scriptures, in the Brahmi scripture, it was revealed, it was read and found out, curtain being raised. So that means it has been revealed to the world. So we, the people, came to common masses, we came to know about that person. And who is that person? A magnificent king. He was a very nice king, and his name was Ashoka Vardhan Piyadasi, and lovingly he was known as Devanam Piya. So what is the meaning of Devanam Piya? Beloved of gods. So Dev means gods, and so he is the beloved of gods. So why he became the beloved of gods, we will be reading. Revealed himself to the world. So once the scriptures, the Brahmi scripture was deciphered by James Prinsep, and then only we came to know more about this great king Ashoka Vardhan Piyadasi, who was lovingly called as Devanam Piya. The meaning of the word Devanam Piya is beloved of the gods, and so that revealed to us, and we know a lot about this king now. Ashoka left a record of his reign for posterity, carved as edicts on natural rocks and stone pillars that have survived till now. So here Ashoka left a record of his reign. So when he ruled, how he ruled. So those during his reign means when he was ruling. So during his reign we have a lot of record about how he ruled and what all things he had done. So here one of the things that we come to know, carved as edicts on natural rocks and stone pillars. So whatever he had done during his time, those were carved as edicts. Now what do you mean by edicts? Edicts are the official records or the official orders or notifications, usually carved on stone or metal. So that was done in the earlier times. So these we find on the natural rocks and stone pillars that till now it is surviving, and so we came to know through these edicts only. These inscriptions along with literary text in Pali and Sanskrit. So the inscriptions which were written, the language which was written was Pali and Sanskrit. The Pali is the oldest form of the language which they were using, as well as Sanskrit language. Now inscriptions, always remember, when we are carving on something, we give a force to write something on, whether it is a clay, whether it is wood, whether it is rock. So those are inscribed on it. Okay. So these inscriptions along with literary text in Pali and Sanskrit gave us a picture of Ashoka's life and work. So from these inscriptions we know more about Ashoka. He was the first Indian king to issue edicts that recorded his exploits and spread his messages. So he was the first Indian king who had issued the edicts. Edicts, as we read, the official orders which were given, and so those were carved on those metal stone work, and so we come to know about those edicts that recorded his exploits. Exploits means when he was always at war, because he wanted to capture many kingdoms, he wanted to rule everywhere. So those were his exploits, and spread his messages. So later on he became a kind human being, and then he stopped going for wars. In 261 BCE, Ashoka attacked Kalinga. So what do you mean by BCE? So that is the before Common Era. So here in 261 BCE, Ashoka attacked Kalinga. But the Kalingans put up such a valiant resistance that what followed was a massacre. So now Ashoka wanted to capture the kingdom of Kalinga. He wanted to rule Kalinga because at that time Kalinga was very prosperous. So he wanted to rule. But what happened is that the Kalingans, the people of Kalinga, they put up a valiant resistance. Valiant means brave. Brave resistance means to stop Ashoka. Okay, so they fought very bravely. They resisted Ashoka from entering the kingdom. So they fought very bravely. And during this war, a massacre was there. Massacre means many people, thousands and thousands of people died. Not only people, even the animals also died. So there was lot of bloodshed, there was lot of loss of life. So this only moved Ashoka, and he turned into a peaceful person. Kalinga was conquered. So Ashoka was able to conquer Kalinga. His wish was fulfilled. Any other king would have celebrated it as a hard-fought victory. So the author says that if it would not have been Ashoka, if it would have been some other king, they would have celebrated it, because this was a great victory, as Kalinga during those times was the popular or the prosperous kingdom, and so capturing this kingdom or conquering this kingdom would have given them a lot of happiness. And so, but here Ashoka, he did not celebrate. So however, Ashoka looked at the death and destruction with horror. So when he moved into the battlefield, then he saw lot of bloodshed, and that only moved his heart. So there was a change in his heart, the change of feeling, the emotions. Even though he had won, he felt deep regret at his action. So though he won the battle, but he was regretting at what he had done. so regret, to feel sorry. So what he had done? He had killed many lives. So that is what he did not like. He realized the futility of war. So he realized what is the result of war. Result of war is lot of destruction. Not only the living beings are destroyed, even the non-living things, the buildings and lot of things are getting destroyed, which is the useless loss of money. It only brought tragedy and suffering into the lives of people. So here many people lost their father, many lost their mother, the child, animals were lost, and so many things were lost. So this did not bring any happiness to him, rather he realized it brought tragedy and suffering into the lives of people. So and how would he be called as a good king when he did not look into the happiness of his subjects? So then he realized this act of his was very bad. Ashoka gave up wars of conquest forever and became a Buddhist. So he gave up the war of conquering things, conquering kingdom. So he wanted to now conquer the heart of the people. So he wanted to win the hearts of the people, not the kingdom. So he embraced Buddhism. In the history of the world, no other victorious king has shown such compassion, and that is where Ashoka's true greatness lies. So here the author says that in the history of the world, no victorious king, no king who had won the battlefield had shown so much of compassion, had shown so much of sympathy and empathy to the people, that what Ashoka had shown to his people. And this is where Ashoka's true greatness lied. And that is this is the reason why gods call him as the Devanam Piya. He was the beloved of the gods. In one rock edict, he expresses his remorse with such touching sincerity that historians believe it must have been written by the king himself. So, in one of the rock edict, he had expressed his remorse feelings, so the sad feelings, okay, with such touching sincerity. So, the words which were used in that edict, that was like it truly coming out of his heart. So the historians believe it must have been written by the king himself. So no one can write such sympathetic words. So the historians felt that this must have been written by Ashoka himself only. So what is written? Let us read this. Beloved of the gods, King Piyadasi conquered the Kalingas 8 years after his coronation. So, beloved of gods, that is Devanam Piya. And who was that? King Piyadasi, that is Ashokavardhan Piyadasi. He conquered the Kalingas 8 years after his coronation. Coronation means after he became the king. Coronation is the ceremony where a person becomes the king. The crown is gifted to him and the throne is also handed over to him. So that is coronation. So 8 years after he became the king of Kalinga, king himself, then he went to conquer Kalinga. 150,000 were deported, 100,000 were killed, and many more died from other causes. So here this was the calculation that he gave. So 150,000 were deported. Deported means they lost their lives and their houses. 100,000 were killed and many died from other causes. So because their family members had died and so many died because of that. So that is only from other causes. After or else some diseases due to this war. After the Kalingas had been conquered, beloved of the gods came to feel a strong inclination towards the Dhamma. So here, after the Kalinga had been conquered, beloved of gods, that is the king himself, King Piyadasi, came to feel a strong inclination towards Dhamma. So now he was transformed to Dhamma. Now what is Dhamma? It is the Prakrit language. It's a language. So that it is that he changed his feeling towards everyone. A love for the Dhamma and for instruction in Dhamma. Now, beloveds of the gods feel deep remorse for having conquered the Kalingas. So then he says that this beloved of gods has a deep sorrow for having conquered Kalingas. Indeed, beloveds of the gods is deeply pained by the killing, dying and deportation that take place when an unconquered country is conquered. So now he is very sad about his action. But beloved of the gods is pained even more by this, that Brahmins, ascetics and householders of different religions who live in those countries. So that means the king is pained more. Why? That the Brahmins, okay, ascetics means sadhus, so monks, those who all are worshipping God, and householders, that is the common man of different religions who live in those countries and who are respectful to superiors, to mothers and fathers, to elders, and who behave properly and have strong loyalty towards friends. Loyalty means faithfulness towards friends. Acquaintances means whomever you know. Companions, relatives, servants and employees, that they are injured. So these all people were injured, and so that gave sadness to this king, that they are injured, killed or separated from their beloved, from their loved ones. Even those who are not affected by all this suffer when they see friends, acquaintances, companions and relatives affected. That is true, that those who were directly affected by this destruction and those who were indirectly affected. Indirectly means when they see their relatives who are suffering, or when they see their friends who are suffering. So it gives pain to these people also. So they are also affected. These misfortunes befall all as a result of war, and this pains beloved of gods. So the beloved of gods means King Ashoka. So when King Ashoka sees this misfortunes which has befallen on all these people, befall means which has fallen, which has affected all these people as a result of the war which he had started, so that pains this king. Therefore, the killing, death or deportation of 100th or even 1,000th part of those who died during the conquest of Kalinga now pains beloved of gods. So all these who were affected, who are affected by this destruction, when I look at them, it pains me, the beloved of gods. Now, beloved of gods thinks that even those who do wrong should be forgiven where forgiveness is possible. So, if anyone has done something wrong, so they should be forgiven if they are ready to accept and change their manners. So, here the historians believe that this inscription which was written in the rock edicts, this must have come directly from the heart of King Ashoka, because the words which have been used here are very touching, and so it must have come directly from the heart of Ashoka. He himself must have written. That is what the historians believe. So children, I stop over here for today. In my next video, I will be completing this chapter, and I wish you all to read the chapter thoroughly, especially this particular inscription of Ashoka. Please go through it very well, and you have to remember a lot of things in this chapter, so please read it again and again. Okay, so thank you and have a wonderful day.